Hey Knights, so this is another 2 chapters for the Doctor Who, so that makes this 17 and 18. Yeah. Okay, so chapter 17, the TARDIS Trio. So where to now? Jack asked, smiling as they all gathered in the console room. Jessie smiled as the Doctor shrugged. Jack had been with them for over a month, and they had all gotten along extremely well. I was thinking Jessie could choose this time, the Doctor replied. She thought for a second, then smiled. New Mexico! What? Jack laughed. Why New Mexico? You've seen home, she replied to the Doctor, waving a hand around the TARDIS. You saw home at S.H.I.E.L.D., and now we're going to the place that makes you feel at home, the Doctor guessed, beginning to smile. Jessie, are you thinking about what I am? Most likely. He grinned. Fantastic idea, he pointed. Jack, that lever right there. Jack grabbed it. What's in New Mexico? Something connected to legends, was all Jessie replied. Hey, one of the agents in New Mexico called as the three approached. You are not authorized. Jessie Nightshade, level 9, she interrupted, flashing her badge. This is John Smith and Jack Harness, 2 other co-workers. The agent's jaw dropped. She smiled sweetly and sauntered past him, smirking as Jack snickered as they approached the middle of the field. Right around here, she said, stopping when she saw the circle caused by Thor's landing. Nice crop circle, Jack commented. The Doctor snorted loudly, and Jessie threw a smirk over her shoulder. Oh, you just wait. She stood in the center of it and looked up. Heimdall, she called. You're shouting. Yes, I know, she interrupted Jack, holding out her hands. Grab on. The Doctor took her right one, and Jack took her left. Good, she smiled, watching the colors appear in the sky and feeling her armor appear. Hang on. What? Jack was cut off when streams of color and lights appeared around them, and Jessie let out a whoop of delight as the Bifrost swept them away. The men's hands tightened in hers, and she grinned as the lights faded and they stood in a bronzed observatory. Whoa, Jack sputtered, stumbling a little. That was awesome. He stopped, looking at Jessie in surprise. What the hell are you wearing? Half Asgardian, she replied, smiling at her bronze and violet armor. Well earned, Lady Deathbringer, a deep voice said. She turned and smiled at the dark-skinned Asgardian in gold as he bowed low to her. Welcome home, Jessie. Good to be home, Heimdall. Okay, Jack said slowly as Jessie skipped down the bridge happily, the Doctor watching her in amusement. Asgard exists. Do the others? Big war with I can't say this word. It's just time that where Loki's from, that place. First brought Thor to Midgard. She replied, spinning to face him and skipped backwards. Then there was the incident with Malekith and Savathum. She looked at the Doctor, suddenly frowning. I hope you don't pass off as him. His eyebrows shot up. What? Malekith was the same height, same build. She frowned. Actually, you do seem a lot like him. Where were you during the attack on London? What? He repeated. Jessie snorted. There you go, she grinned. So they all exist. It's a list of all of the realms, and I can't pronounce them. I'm not even gonna try. Jessie. She she turned, grinning, as a black-haired woman in armor ran towards her. Sif, she called gleefully, running to meet her halfway. Hey! Word from Midgard said you had been missing, she told her worriedly. It is good to see you safe. I'm fine, Jessie assured her, smiling as the Doctor and Jack finally caught up. And I brought friends. I'm the Doctor told her brightly, and I am not a dark elf, if I look like Malekith. Way to be blunt, Jessie sighed as Sif looked a little surprised. Captain Jack Harkness. Jack introduced himself with a smile. Sif just raised an eyebrow. The Doctor I know because of Thor's links to S.H.I.E.L.D. You have kept her safe? I'm standing right here. The Doctor nodded firmly. Sally is already first in line to kill me if something happens to her, with Coulson, May, Skye, and Fitzsimmons close behind. Then the Avengers. Sif gave a smile. Beware their wraths, Doctor. He nodded. Trust me, that's enough encouragement. Oh, no, sorry. Trust me, that's encouragement enough. Jessie craned her neck to look over Sif's shoulder. There's a party going on or something? Sif chuckled. You could say that. Jessie smiled coyly at the men, seeing the excitement on Jack's face and the growing expiration on the Doctor's. And we have people to show off to. Fantastic. That's my line, the Doctor whined, and Jessie just laughed as she and Sif linked arms and headed for the palace. As Jessie and Sif headed off someplace, the doctor stood, as usual, in the corner of the hall, smirking a little as Jack helped himself to everything before talking to two people, one of whom looked like a fairy dwarf, and the other tall and blonde. "You are the one who arrived today, are you not?" The doctor started a little, turning. An old man in armor with a gold metal eye patch over one eye stood there expectantly. "One of them," he replied, bowing respectfully. "Odin Allfather, correct?" Odin nodded. "Aye, but Odin will do for tonight." The doctor nodded. "Jessie has told me lots of Asgard. It's beautiful." "Thank you," Odin replied with a smile. "Your other friend was quick to take a liking to Fendrel and Volstagg." He pointed to the men laughing with Jack. "They are good friends of my son's and of Jessie. She means much to Asgard despite her past." The doctor nodded. "She told me." "She did?" "Voices in her head kept telling her she wasn't good enough," the doctor explained, smirking a little, when Jack, Fendrel, and Valsa began roaring in laughter at something. "She told me after I found her trying to get them out." Odin considered him, then nodded. "She does not talk about it easily. Do not let her be harmed." "The doctor," he replied, nodding. "I never would. And just one question." "Only one?" Odin asked. The doctor cleared his throat. "Do I really look like this dark elf Malkuth?" Odin chuckled. "If you were from Svartalfheim, yes. But you are not, are you, doctor?" "No." He looked up when he saw Sif enter, now in a rich blue gown with a fur cloak. It was a planet called Gallifrey. Jessie slipped in next, truly looking like she belonged. It really was simple. A lilac silk dress that reached her ankles, thin straps that held the dress up on her shoulders, and 3 strands of pearls encircling her upper arms, connecting to the dress. Her hair had been left half in an updo, the rest hanging down. She and Sif were laughing about something, and then Jessie seemed to perk up and she smiled at something. A few minutes later, she was running across the floor. A well-built man with blonde hair to his shoulders, dressed in silver armor, met her there and hugged her tightly. Odin smiled as he was followed by a much slimmer man with shoulder-length black hair and green eyes. "Thor and Loki feared for her when they heard she had been missing," he told the doctor as Fandral and Volstagg joined the group reunion. After Hangan, one of the Vanir of Venom remained home to look after his people. They did not want another gone. The doctor smiled as he watched Jessie with her friends. She really missed this place. Odin nodded. "If you ever need a place to stay, doctor, Asgard's doors are open to you." He nodded as well. "Thank you." Odin gave a small bow and walked off. Thor caught up to him, and the two began to talk about something. Sif joined Fandral and Volstagg with Jack, listening to the con man. And the doctor watched as Jessie seemed to ask Loki something that made both of them get sad looks. Loki simply nodded, and the two of them slipped away as quickly as they came in. The doctor was right behind them. "I can tell he's a good man," Loki told Jessie as they walked through the gardens. "The way he watches you, like he'll break any second." "I'm not afraid to do it in front of him," Jessie admitted. "Both he and Jack, I trust them as much as the S.H.I.E.L.D. team or the Avengers. Maybe more." "Maybe that's a sign you're ready to keep going on," Loki observed. "Maybe." They stopped on the edge of the cliff overlooking the waters that led to Valhalla. Jessie sat on the edge and put her elbows on her knees, chins in her hands. "She was a true Asgardian," she said. "She died with full honor," Loki agreed, sitting next to her. "She died to keep me alive," Jessie continued. She held out a hand and watched as wisps of black and dark red swirled around in it. "And I'm still paying the price." "He'll keep you safe," Loki told her, laying a hand on her arm. "Even if he does appear like Malkuth." Jessie giggled. "Except for the ears." Loki snorted, and they snickered a little. Jessie sobered a little, and looking out over the waters again. "Can I?" He understood. "Of course." He stood. "Take whatever time you need." Jessie nodded, and when he didn't move, she looked up at him to see him looking out over the water as well. "Are you going to stay?" he asked. Jessie swallowed. Would she stay? She hadn't realized until they'd come back that she really had missed Asgard. Talking with Sif, hanging out with Fandral and Volstagg, practicing magic with Loki, helping Thor with strategies. Her head spun, but then she remembered everything she'd done with the doctor. How else could she have seen the end of the world, and made best friends with a tree and a floating head? How else could she have seen Charles Dickens in 1869, Satellite 5, Slitheen, World War II? She knew her decision easily. "No," she replied hoarsely. "I'm staying with the doctor and Jack." Loki nodded. Somehow I knew that, but I had to ask. I'll tell the others. Thanks. Loki nodded and left. Jessie returned to looking out over the water. Thanks, she whispered, not hearing the two other sets of footsteps approaching. For everything. I got another home, one I really loved, because of you, she grinned. Not to mention so many great friends. Two people simultaneously sat down next to her, and Jessie smiled at the doctor and Jack. Were you two listening in? He began it, Jack said, instantly pointing at the doctor. Oi! Jessie smiled. You see, that's why I love you two. She put her arms around their shoulders. You two argue so much, it's not just me anymore. You're saying you didn't like arguing with me? The doctor asked. Jessie burst out laughing, and Jack smirked. Maybe she just wants more things to argue about. No, she laughed, practically rolling on the ground laughing. At this point, all three of them were. It's just I've always heard three's the charm. TARDIS trio, the three of us, Jack agreed proudly. The doctor grinned. Yeah, he agreed. We are. Jack's jaw dropped in mock astonishment. World's ending. He just agreed with me. Jessie howled in laughter at the doctor's face. We need to go before we drive everyone insane, he muttered. Still laughing, Jessie was helped up by Jack as they began walking towards the palace to tell the Asgardians where they were going. As they went, she swore she heard Frigga's voice in her head. You belong with them, Jessie. She turned, looking at the sea. Stay with the doctor, no matter what. Jessie heard the doctor stop by her. You okay? She smiled. Never been better. Chapter 18. Boomtown. So when do I get to meet these agent friends of yours? Jack asked Jessie as the doctor checked something high on the TARDIS wall. She shrugged, watching as Jack kept adjusting things. Whenever, really. I asked Celine to try and find my badge and credentials. You don't need them, the doctor said in a muffled voice. She held a hand up to her ear. Sorry? He turns to her, and she snorted as he took his sonic out of his mouth. You don't need them. So, she retorted. He sighed, looking at Jack. Women, tell me about it. Hey! Gemma got off the train in Cardiff, smiling a little when she looked around. It dimmed a little when she didn't see anyone. Simmons! She grinned when Fitz ran up. Hey, how's... TARDIS is back, he said quickly, panting a little. What? TARDIS, just materialized. Gemma shoved past him and took off running. Fitz followed her. They emerged from the subway up onto the streets, and Gemma smiled wide when she saw the police box in front of a fountain. So, who's gonna knock? Fitz raised his hand and rapped on the door. It was flung open, and a good-looking man leaned on the frame. Who the hell are you? He asked bluntly. Fitz blinked. Who the hell am I? He repeated. Who the hell are you? Gemma threw back. Captain Jack Harkness, he replied, looking at her and ignoring Fitz completely. Whatever you're selling, we're not buying. Oh, get out of the way, Fitz said, shoving Jack off to the side and getting in. Oh, don't tell me. This is Fitzsimmons, Jack said as they made it inside. Looky, here comes trouble, the doctor's northern voice said, and they looked up to see him grinning down at them from working on something on the walls. How are you doing, Gemma? Busy boy? Gemma grinned. Good, you? It's Fitz, Fitz complained. Oh, ignore him, Jessie laughed from where she laid sprawled on the captain's chair, sitting up and approaching. He's just winding you up. Fitz smiled at her, and Gemma had to approve as well. She was wearing skinny jeans for once, with a violet spaghetti strap top with denim jacket over it. You look fantastic, Fitz stated. Jessie smiled and hugged them both. Ah, sweet, Jack commented as he began fiddling with something on the console, then looked up at the doctor. Look at those three. How come I never get any of that? Buy me a drink first, he replied. It works, Jessie agreed, pulling a few water bottles out of what appeared to be a cooler right under the console. Such hard work, Jack whined. The doctor grinned. But worth it. Jessie snickered as Gemma looked back and forth between the three of them. Are they three-way flirting? Did you find them? Jessie asked. Oh, right. Gemma swung her bag off her back and dug through it, smiling when she found Jessie's wallet and tablet. She brought them both out and handed it to her. Credentials and tablet. Coulson wants you to keep in contact. She took them gratefully. I can go anywhere now. The doctor sighed. I told you, you don't need those. Yeah, maybe for the States or London or year 5.5 Apple freaking 26. But Justica in the glass pyramid of San Colune, Jessie threw back. But Brazil, Malaysia, these get me anywhere because of shield status. You see, I'm prepared for anything. Gemma's face fell slightly. That makes it sound like you're staying. The smile on Jessie's face slowly slid off. The doctor had stilled, not working. Jack was tapping something in his palm. So what are you doing in Cardiff, then? She asked quickly. And who's jumpin' Jack Flash? Fitz added, and Jessie began giggling at Jack's offended face. None of us mind you hanging out with big ears up there. Oi! The doctor shouted down as Jessie and Jack burst out laughing. Look in a mirror, Gemma shouted back, giving him a sweet smile when he glared at her. But this guy? Fitz continued, eyeing Jack wryly. I don't know, he's kinda handsome? Jack suggested smugly. Jessie did a spit take, coughing and laughing at the same time into her sleeve. Jack clapped her on the back, and the doctor was the one that stuck her thin. More like cheesy, Gemma suggested. Early 21st century slang, Jack said, looking at Jessie. Is cheesy good or bad? It's bad, Fitz and Gemma said at the same time. But bad means good, right? You really need to take me to the 51st century if this is what slang's like there, Jessie laughed, leaning on the console and looking up at the doctor as he descended. He merely shrugged before stopping next to her. Are you saying I'm not handsome? He asked Fitz. Gemma rolled her eyes as Fitz snorted, and Jessie punched the doctor lightly in the arm. She knew Jessie really was staying. The way she was with the doctor, and Jack, even though Gemma barely knew him, suggested that clearly. We just stopped off. She got a bright look on her face. We need to refuel. The thing is, Cardiff's got this rift running through the middle of the city. It's invisible, but it's like an earthquake fault between two different dimensions. The rift was healed back in 1869, the doctor added. Thanks to a girl named Gwyneth, Jessie continued, because these creatures called the Guelph, they were using the rift as a gateway, but she saved the world and closed it. Closing a rift always leaves a scar, Jack put in, and Gemma and Fitz looked at each other in confusion. And that scar generates energy, perfectly harmless to the human race. But perfect for the TARDIS, the doctor picked up, patting the console. So just park it here for a couple of days, right on top of the scar, and open up the engine, soak up the radiation, Jack continued. Like filling her up with petrol, and off we go, Jessie cried, high-fiving the doctor. Into time, Jack crowed, high-fiving both of them. And space, all three finished, doing a three-way high-five. My God, Gemma whispered. We have sciencey talk competition, Fitz. Have you seen yourselves? Fitz asked. You all think you're so clever, don't you? Yeah, the doctor grinned. Yeah, Jessie grinned. Yep, Jack finished, patting Fitz's cheek. Jessie skipped around outside when they made it out of the TARDIS. Should take another 24 hours, the doctor estimated, looking at the TARDIS, which means we've got time to kill. That old lady's staring, Gemma noted. Probably wondering what 5 people could do inside a small wooden box, Jack guessed. Fitz frowned at him. What are you captain of? The Aneto squad? Jack flashed the whatever sign and began to walk off. Hold on a moment, Gemma said, looking up at the TARDIS. What about the TARDIS? We can't just leave it. Doesn't it get noticed? Jack turned back too. Yeah, what's with the police box? He asked. Why does it look like that? Cloaking device, Jessie replied. It's called the chameleon circuit, the doctor explained. The TARDIS is made to disguise itself wherever it lands. Like if this was ancient Rome, it would be a statue on a plinth or something. But then I landed in 1960s. It disguised itself as a police box, and the circuit got stuck. So it copied the real thing? Fitz asked. There actually were police boxes? Yeah, on street corners, the doctor confirmed. Phoned for help before they had radios and mobiles. If they arrested someone, they could shove them inside till help came, like a little prison cell. Why don't you just fix the circuit? Jack asked. I like it, the doctor protested. Don't you? I love it, Jessie assured him. But that's what I mean, Fitz told him. There's no police boxes anymore. So, doesn't it get noticed? Fitz, let me tell you something about the human race, the doctor told him. You put a mysterious blue box slap bang in the middle of town. What do? Fitz opened his mouth to respond, but the doctor patted his shoulder. Walk past it. Now stop your nagging. Let's go and explore. Jessie held out her hand invitingly, and the doctor took it. What's the plan? She asked, skipping. I don't know, the doctor replied, looking around. Cardiff, early 21st century, and the wind's coming from the east. Trust me, safest place in the universe. I've heard that before, Gemma muttered. I swear, Jack was saying on the jetty close by the TARDIS. 6 feet tall and with big tusks. You're lying through your teeth, the doctor accused instantly. I'd have gone bonkers, Jessie laughed, leaning her head on Jack's shoulder. Gemma was sitting between her and the doctor, Fitz opposite of Jack, next to the doctor. That's the word. Bonkers. I mean, it turns out the white things are tusks, and I mean tusks, Jack declared, grinning. And it's woken, and it's not happy. How could you not know it was there? The doctor asked incredulously. And we're standing there, Jack continued. 15 of us, naked. Naked? Jessie and Gemma squeaked at the same time. And I'm like, oh, no, it's got nothing to do with me. Jessie burst out laughing again. And then it roars, and we are running. Oh my god, we are running. And Brackfish falls. So I turn to him and say, I knew we should have turned left. Fitz took the punchline. The doctor and Jessie roared in laughter as Jack pointed at Fitz accusingly. That's my line. I don't believe you, Jessie gasped. I don't believe a word you say, ever. This is so brilliant. Did you get your clothes back? Gemma asked. No, Jack replied, and Jessie raised her head, seeing the doctor snatch the newspaper from someone at the next table. I just picked him up and went right for the ship, full throttle. Didn't stop until I hit the space lanes. I was shaking. It was unbelievable. It freaked me out, and by the time I got 15 light years away, I realized I liked this. The doctor looked up at them, looking deflated. And I was having such a nice day, he commented sadly, holding up the front page for them to see. Jessie's heart jumped into her throat when she saw the familiar face holding up a hand to the camera. Margaret the Slitheen. The doctor and Jack made it to the city hall foyer first. Jessie, Gemma, and Fitz flanked them. According to intelligence, the target is the last surviving member of the Slitheen family, a criminal sect from the planet Raxacoriphalopatorus. Masquerading as a human being, zipped inside a skin suit, Jack rattled off. Okay, plan of attack. We assume a basic 57-56 strategy, covering all available exits on the ground floor. Doctor, you go face to face. That'll distinguish exit 1. The doctor threw Jack an incredulous look, and Jessie couldn't help but grin. I'll cover exit 2. Jessie, you exit 3. Leo, Fitz, you take exit 4. Gemma Simmons, exit 5. Have you got that? The doctor frowned at Jack. Excuse me, who's in charge? Jessie and Gemma shared looks as Jack straightened to attention. Sorry, he drawled. Awaiting orders, sir. Fitz rolled his eyes as the doctor nodded firmly. Right. Here's the plan. Jessie raised an eyebrow at him, then he turned to nod at Jack. Like he said, nice plan, he complimented with a grin. Jessie giggled. Anything else? Present arms, Jack ordered. Ready, the doctor reported, pulling out his cell phone. Ready, Jessie pitched in. Ready, Fitz added. Ready, Gemma put out. Ready, Jack finished fiddling with the settings. Speed dial? Yep, the doctor replied, popping the P. Ready, Jessie confirmed. Set, Fitz agreed. Check, Gemma said. See ya in hell, Jack told them, and they all went their separate ways. The doctor approached the secretary by the mayor's office. Hello, he said brightly. I've come to see the Lord Mayor. Have you got an appointment? The young man asked. No, the doctor replied. Just an old friend passing by. Bit of a surprise. Can't wait to see her face, he grinned. Well, she's just having a cup of tea. Just go in there and tell her the doctor would like to see her, the doctor told him. Doctor who? The doctor grinned. I'll never get tired of hearing that. Just the doctor. Tell her exactly that. The doctor. Hang on a tick. The doctor waited with a smile on his face as the secretary walked into the office. He smirked at the sound of a teacup smashing, then looked up expectantly as the secretary came back out. The Lord Mayor says thank you for popping by, he began, sounding worried. She'd love to have a chat, but, she's up to her eyes in paperwork. Perhaps you could make an appointment for next week? The doctor smirked. She's climbing out the window, isn't she? He nodded. Yes, she is. The doctor ran past him, looking out the window, to see Margaret climbing down the fire escape. He dialed speed dial and held it to his ear. Slitheen heading north. On my way, Jessie replied instantly. Over and out, Jack replied. Jessie barreled past a few clerks, ignoring their shrieks. She burst out the doors and ran full speed towards Margaret, who stopped short. She turned to go in the opposite direction, but Jack ran from his door as well. Gemma was out of her exit a few minutes later, and the three of them raced after Margaret, who was heading for the front of the building. Margaret, the doctor shouted, jumping down the ladder. Who was on exit 4? Jack yelled as Margaret ran past the exit. Fitz, Gemma replied, sliding to a halt as Fitz joined them, panting. Here I am, he said. Fizzy the idiot, the doctor muttered. Oh, come on, Jessie told him. She's not exactly going to outrun us, is she? She blinked as Margaret disappeared in front of them. She's got a teleporter, Jack complained. That's cheating. Now we're never going to get her. Jessie patted his arm. Oh, the doctor's very good at teleports. The doctor held up his sonic screwdriver and and Margaret reappeared. She stopped, then turned to run away again. She vanished once more, and the doctor made her reappear yet again. They went through this one more time before Margaret was right in front of them. I could do this all day, he told her. This is persecution, Margaret snarled, holding up her hands. Why can't you leave me alone? What did I ever do to you? You tried to kill me and destroy this entire planet, the doctor deadpanned. She hesitated. Apart from that? So you're a Slitheen, you're on Earth, and you're trapped, the doctor began, rattling off as they made it to the city hall room. Your family gets killed, but you teleport just in the nick of time. You have no means of escape. What do? You build a nuclear power station. But what for? A philanthropic gesture, Margaret supplied, and Jessie and Gemma rolled their eyes. I've learned the errors of my ways. Fitz said sarcastically. And it just so happens to be right on top of the rift, Jack added. What rift would that be? Margaret asked instantly. A rift in space and time, Jack replied. If this power station went into meltdown, the entire planet would go, psh, he said, making a gesture with his hands. Boom. This station is destined to explode the minute it reaches capacity, the doctor confirmed. Didn't anyone notice, Gemma asked. Isn't there someone in London checking this stuff out? We're in Cardiff, Margaret replied. London doesn't care. The South Wales coast could fall in the sea, and they wouldn't notice. Oh, she said, looking confused. I sound like a Welshman. She made a face. God help me, I've gone native. Why would she do that? Fitz asked. A great big explosion. She'd only end up killing herself. She's got a name, you know, Margaret snapped. She's not even a she, Fitz countered. She's a thing. Oh, but she's clever, the doctor murmured. He crashed over a few of the model buildings and grasped the middle section of it and pulled it out, flipping it over and holding it upright. Fantastic. Jack looked like a kid in a toy factory. Oh, frick. Is that a physical waveform macrokinetic extrapolator? He asked in excitement. What? Gemma asked in confusion. That's hard to say. Couldn't have put it better myself, the doctor replied, grinning. Ooh, genius, Jack yelled, turning to Margaret. You didn't build this. I have my hobbies, Margaret replied. A little tinkering. No, Jack interrupted. I mean, you really didn't build this. Way beyond you. I bet she stole it, Fitz muttered. It fell into my hands. Is it a weapon? Jem asked. It's a transport, Jack replied, then launched into a techie explanation. You see, if the reactor blows, the rift opens. Phenomenal cosmetic disaster. But this thing surrounds you in a force field, and you have enough energy, and you have this energy bubble, so you're safe. Then you feed it coordinates, stay on top, and ride the concussion all the way out to the solar system. So it's a surfboard, Fitz summed up. A pan-dimensional surfboard. Yeah, Jack agreed. And it would have worked, Margaret spat. I'd have stuffed away from this dead end dump and back to civilization. Jessie looked up to see the doctor approaching the sign on the wall, an odd look on his face. Doctor, she asked. You'd blow up a planet just to get a little lift, Gemma asked. Like stepping on an anthill, Margaret replied, snorting. How'd you think of the name? They all turned to the doctor, who was looking at the banner. What? Margaret asked. Balladrig. It's Welsh. I know, but how did you think of it? He repeated. I chose it at random, that's all, she shrugged. I don't know, it just sounded good. Does it matter? The doctor turned, looking at Jessie. Blatted rug, he told her. What does it mean? She asked. He swallowed. Bad wolf. A shudder ran down Jessie's spine. But I've heard that before, she whispered. I've heard that lots of times. Everywhere we go, he agreed. 2 words following us. Bad wolf. How can they be following us? She demanded. The doctor looked thoughtful, then his face split in an obviously forced grin. Nah, just a coincidence. Like hearing a word on the radio, then hearing it all day. Never mind. Oh, you're so getting it later, she thought in annoyance as he turned to Margaret. Things to do. Margaret, we're going to take you home. Hold on, Jack said. Isn't that the easy option, like letting her go? Jessie grinned. I don't believe it. We actually get to go to Araxa, she frowned. Wait a minute. Raxacoricofallapateris, the doctor supplied. Raxacoricofallapateris. I am not saying that again. That's it, the doctor exclaimed. The two laughed, and the doctor hugged her tightly. I did it, she squealed. They have the death penalty. Jessie froze, looking at Margaret. The family Slitheen was tried in its absence many years ago, and was found guilty with no chance of appeal, she told them. According to the status of government, the moment I return, I am to be executed. She stared at the doctor. What do you make of that, doctor? Take me home, and you take me to my death. Not my problem, was all he said. This ship is impossible, Margaret exclaimed later that evening as the doctor and Jack worked inside the TARDIS. Jessie and Gemma lay lounging in the captain's chair and on the console, respectively. Fitz leaning on the coral structures. It's superb. How do you get the outside around the inside? Like I'd give you the secret, the doctor snorted. Yeah. I almost feel better about being defeated. I never stood a chance. This is the technology of the gods. Don't worship him. Don't worship me, the doctor told her. I'd make a very bad god. You wouldn't get a day off, for starters. He looked over at Jack. Jack, how are you doing, big fella? This extrapolator's top of the range, the man replied, looking at Margaret. Where did you get it? Oh, I don't know. Some airlock sale? Must have been a great big heist, Jack commented. It's stacked with power. But we can use it for fuel, the doctor asked. It's not compatible, but it should knock off about 12 hours. Jack stood up, dusting his hands off. We'll be ready to go by morning. You're stuck here overnight, Gemma pointed out. I'm in no hurry, Margaret told them. We've got a prisoner, Jessie realized, smiling from where she lay in the chair. This police box is really a police box. You're not just police, though, Margaret pointed out. Since you're taking me to my death, that makes you my executioners, each and every one of you. Well, you deserve it, Fitz accused. You're very quick to say so, Margaret told him, looking around the TARDIS. You are very quick to soak your hands in my blood, which makes you better than me. Exactly? Which makes you better than me. How? Exactly. Long night ahead. Let's see who can look me in the eyes. Fitz and Gemma looked away instantly. Jack and the doctor held eye contact for a little while longer before averting their gaze. Margaret next turned her gaze to Jessie, and she shrieked in astonishment. Everyone turned to her in surprise. Jessie's hazel eyes were swirling with black and red, and she smirked at the Slitheen. Long night ahead, Jessie told her. Don't try and piss me off. That's my girl, the doctor praised her. Fitz stormed out first, followed by Gemma. They waited by the water tower, and then Jessie came out a little later. It's freezing out here, she told them. It's better than in there, Gemma pointed out. And she does deserve it, Fitz added. She's a Slitheen. He sighed. I don't care. It's weird in that box. I didn't really need my credentials, Jessie told them. We were thinking, Gemma told her. We could go have a drink, a pizza or something, just the three of us. That would be nice, Jessie agreed. And if the TARDIS can't leave until tomorrow morning, we could go to a hotel, spend the night there, Fitz added, then quickly put in. I mean, if you want to. We've got money. Jessie slowly nodded. Okay, yeah. Is that all right? Gemma asked. Yeah, Jessie assured her. Cool. They began walking away, and Fitz began talking. There's a couple of bars around here. We should give them a go. He pointed over his shoulder. Do you have to go and tell him? Jessie looked back. No, she replied. He'll be fine. The doctor watched Jessie walk off with Gemma and Fitz, and he huffed a little. So, Jack said awkwardly. What's on? Nothing, he replied quickly, turning off the scanner. Just... I gather it's not always like this, having to wait, Margaret brought up. I bet you're always the first to leave, Doctor. Never mind the consequences. Off you go. You butchered my family and then ran for the stars. Am I right? Not this time. At least you have consequences. How does it feel? I didn't butcher them. Don't answer back, Jack advised. That's what she wants. I didn't, the doctor told her. What about you? You had an emergency teleport. You didn't zap them to safety, did you? It only carries one. I had to fly without coordinates. I ended up a skip in the Isle of Dogs. Both the doctor and Jack snickered, and she glared at them. It wasn't funny. The doctor couldn't help but snort his amusement on the last time. Sorry, it is a bit funny. Don't I get a last request? Margaret asked. Depends on what it is. I grew quite fond of my little human life. All those rituals, the brushing of the teeth, the complicated way they cook things. There's a little restaurant just around the bay. It became quite a favorite of mine. Is that what you want? The doctor asked. A last meal. Don't I have rights? Oh, like she's not going to try to escape? Jack snorted. Except I can never escape the doctor. So where's the danger? She asked. I wonder if you could do it, to sit with a creature you're about to kill and take supper. How strong is your stomach? Strong enough, the doctor replied shortly. I wonder, she leaned forward. I've seen you fight your enemies. Now die with them. Dine with them. You won't change my mind. Prove it. There are people out there, like Jess. But he didn't say that out loud. If you slip away just for 1 second, they'll be in danger. Except, Jack held up 2 bangles. I've got these. You both wear one. If she moves more than 10 feet away, she gets sapped by 10,000 volts. The doctor smiled at Margaret. Margaret, would you like to come out to dinner? My treat. Margaret glared at him. Dinner and bondage. Works for me. Here we are, out on a date, and you haven't even asked my proper name, Margaret commented as they sat down. It's not a date, the doctor reminded her. It's not a date, the doctor reminded her, looking up at her. What's your name? Blonde. I am Blondfell Floch Pasimir de Celine. That's what it will say on my death certificate. Nice to meet you, Blonde. I'm sure. Look. The doctor turned to look where she pointed. That's where I was living as Margaret. Nice little flat, over there, on the top, next to the one with the light on. 2 bedrooms, bayside view. I was rather content. Don't suppose that I'll see it again. The doctor heard the small chinks of glasses, and he smirked, turning back. He swapped the wine glasses, handing her the one that had been his. Suppose not. She glared at him. Thank you. Pleasure. Tell me then, doctor, what do you know of our species? The doctor picked up his menu and began looking through choices. Only what I've seen. Did you know, for example, in extreme cases, when her life is in danger, a female Raxacoricofolipitarian can manufacture a poison dart within her own finger? The doctor lifted his hand and caught the said dart Margaret sent towards him without looking up. Yes, I did. Just checking. And one more thing, between you and me. The doctor looked around, then leaned forward at the same time as Margaret. As a final resort, she began, the excess poison can be exhaled through the lungs. The doctor spritz breath freshener into her mouth as she began to exhale. As she began coughing, the doctor smirked at her. That's better. He looked back at the menu. Now then, what do you think? Steak looks nice, he grinned. Steak and chips. The doctor took me to this planet a while back, Jessie was saying, as Gemma in fits as they emerged from a bar. It was much colder than this. They called it Woman Wept. The planet was actually called Woman Wept, because if you look at it right from above, there's like this huge continent, all curved round. It sort of looked like woman, laminating. Cool, Gemma punned. Jessie grinned at her. Oh my god, we went to this beach, right? No people, no buildings, just this beach, like 1,000 miles across. And something had happened, something to do with the sun, I don't know, but the sea had just frozen. In a split second, in the middle of a storm, right? Waves and foam just frozen, all the way out to the horizon. Midnight, right? We walk underneath these waves 100 feet tall, made of ice. Gemma grinned and nodded, and Fitz cleared his throat. So, Celine's gone back to dating Bruce. Right, Jessie said. That's nice. Then she blinked. Wait a minute. Bruce, as in Bruce Banner? Yeah, Fitz confirmed. The Hulk. He's nice, Jessie told him. I just thought he hadn't completely gotten over Ross and was working with Tony. You've been away, Gemma told her. Celine's gone back to Stark Tower. Well, good for her, Jessie said, feeling a little deflated. Bruce is a good guy. So, Gemma said, trying to lift the mood. Tell us more about this planet, then. Jessie shrugged. That was it, really. Public execution's a slow death, Margaret continued to tell the doctor. They prepare a thin acetic acid, lower me into the cauldron, and boil me. The acidity is perfectly gauged to strip away the skin, internal organs fall out into the liquid, and I become soup, and still alive, still screaming. The doctor looked at her. I don't make the law. But you carry it out, she pointed out. Will you stay to watch? What else can I do? He asked. The Celine's family's huge. There's a lot more of us, all scattered off-world. Take me to them, Margaret suggested. Take me somewhere safe. But then you'll start again. I promise I won't. You've been in that skin suit too long. You've forgotten. The doctor folded his arms, looking at her. There used to be a real Margaret Blaine. You killed her, and stripped her, and used her skin. You're pleading for mercy out of a dead woman's lips. Perhaps I've gotten used to it. A human life, an ordinary life. That's all I'm asking. Give me a chance, doctor. I can change. The doctor shook his head. I don't believe you. So what do you want to do now? Fitz asked. Gemma shrugged, leaning on the railing. Don't mind. We could ask about hotels, Gemma suggested. Wonder what Bruce would say. Gemma eyed her worriedly. Suppose. I mean, there's another bar down there on the Spanish name, or something of the sorts. Jessie threw her hands up. Celine and Bruce? Really? You're kidding me, right? Is that right? Fitz asked, looking at her. What the hell do you know? I know Celine and I know Bruce, Jessie replied, and I know that wouldn't end well. So, who do you think you're kidding? At least she knows where he is, Fitz snapped. There we are, then. It's got nothing to do with Bruce, does it? This is all about me, isn't it? You left her, Gemma screamed, finally losing it, and Jessie and Fitz both stared at her. You left all of us. With you on the team, we were all happy. When Grant was killed, you were still there, with us. But then guess what? You just run off with him, and you make us feel like nothing. Jessie, Celine felt like nothing without you. She can't settle down, because when you pick up the phone, she comes running. What are we to you, Jessie? Standby? Are we just supposed to sit here and wait for you to come back? Is that what Celine's supposed to do? Trust me, she will. Jessie swallowed. I'm sorry. I promise you, I've changed since we last met, Doctor. The doctor scratched his head as Margaret continued to try and change his mind. There was this girl, just today, a young thing, something of a danger. She was getting too close. I felt the bloodlust rising, just as the family taught me. I was going to kill her without a thought. And then I stopped. She's alive somewhere right now. She's walking around the city because I can change. I did change. I know I can. I can't prove it. I believe you, he interrupted. Then you know I'm capable of better. He shook his head. It doesn't mean anything. I spared her life, Margaret protested. You let one of them go, but that's nothing new, the doctor replied, looking at her. Every now and then, a little victim spared because she smiled, because he's got freckles, because they've begged. And that's how you live with yourself. That's how you slaughter millions. Because once in a while, on a whim, if the wind's in the right direction, you happen to be kind. Only a killer would know that, Margaret retorted, and the doctor's gaze snapped away, feeling stunned. Is that right? From what I've seen, your funny little happy-go-lucky little life leaves devastation in its wake, always moving on because you dare not look back. Playing with so many people's lives, you might as well be a god. The doctor swallowed and looked back to her. And you're right, Doctor, she admitted. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you let one go. Let me go. Jessie, I'm not asking you to leave him, because I know that's not fair, Gemma pleaded. But we just need something, yeah? Some sort of promise that when you do come back, you'll come back for us. Jessie looked up, hearing a rumble. Is that thunder? Does that really matter? Fitz asked in expiration. Jessie's eyes slowly widened. That's not thunder. In the family Slovene, we had no choice. I was made to carry out my first kill at 13. The doctor frowned, his attention somewhere else, as he thought he heard a slight rumble. If I'd refused, my father would have fed me to the venom grubs. If I'm a killer, it's because I was born to kill. It's all I know. The doctor frowned in concentration. Doctor, are you even listening to me? Can you hear that? He asked, hearing the rumble get louder. I'm begging for my life. No, listen. Shh. Shush. The glasses began shaking on the table, and the doctor's gaze flew to the window when they shattered. Customers began screaming as the earth quaked. Jessie took off at a run, hearing the street lights begin to explode, and windows began collapsing in. Oh, go on, then. Run, Fitz shouted after her. It's the doctor. It's always the doctor. It's always going to be the doctor. It's never us. No, it's not, Jessie snapped, turning back, seeing their surprised look. Because he knows stuff about me you never have, or maybe never will, because I trust him. Not like friends, not like co-workers, but like someone, she swallowed. Someone I love, like Celine and Grant, that kind of love. And maybe more. Gemma slowly nodded. You love him. Oh my god, you really love him. Jessie nodded. Yeah, I think I do. Gemma smiled sadly. Go on then, we'll help the others. Go. Jessie smiled, then turned and ran. Her feet pounded on the asphalt, and she heard Fitz and Gemma getting people out of the way, and she thought about what she had just admitted. And she knew that she had not been lying one bit. The doctor stared up as energy streamed from the TARDIS into the sky. He led Margaret around the cracks, begging to open in the plaza. They barged into the TARDIS. What the hell are you doing? He shouted to Jack, who was bouncing everywhere. It just went crazy, he shouted in reply. It's the rift. Time and space are rifting apart. The whole city is going to disappear. It's the extrapolator, Jack explained, holding up the said device. I've disconnected it, but it's still feeding off the engine. It's using the TARDIS. I can't stop it. Never mind Cardiff. It's going to rip open the planet. The door to the TARDIS opened again, and Jessie ran in. What is it? What's happening? Oh, just little me, Margaret sneered. Jessie turned, but Margaret pulled one of her Sylvian arms out and grabbed Jessie by her neck. One wrong move, and she snaps, like a promise. The girl cried out, and the doctor stepped forward, some instinct making him want to snap the Sylvian's neck. I might have known. I've had you bleeding all night. Poor baby. Now shut it, you. She nodded to Jack. Put the extrapolator at my feet. Jessie whimpered, trying to claw at Margaret's grip on her neck when she tightened it. The doctor nodded firmly to Jack, who obeyed, a muscle working in his jaw. Thank you. Just as I planned. I thought you needed to blow up the nuclear power station, Jessie choked out. Failing that, if I were to be arrested, then anyone capable of tracking me down would have considerable technology of their own, Jessie replied. Especially a magpie mind like yours, Doctor. So, the extrapolator was programmed to go to Plan B, to lock on the nearest alien power source and open the rift. And what a power source it found. I'm back on schedule, thanks to you. The rift's going to convulse, Jack told her. You'll destroy the whole planet. And you with it, Margaret sneered as she stepped onto the extrapolator, still hanging on to Jessie. While I ride this board over the crest of the inferno all the way to freedom. Stand back, boys. Surf's up. The doctor's hand found the console, and it cracked open. The light from inside hit Margaret right in the face. Of course, opening the rift means that you'll pull this ship apart, he told her. So sue me. It's just not any old power source, he told her, narrowing his eyes. It's the TARDIS. My TARDIS. The best ship in the universe. It'll make wonderful scrap. What's that light? Jessie asked. The heart of the TARDIS, the doctor explained. This ship's alive. You have opened its soul. It's so bright, Margaret whispered. Look at it, Margaret, he encouraged. She looked like she was in a trance. Beautiful. Look inside, blonde felch fotch, he coaxed. Look at the light. Margaret relaxed all over, and Jessie fell from her grasp. She landed on the floor and quickly scooted away. Thank you, Margaret whispered to the doctor. She disappeared into the light, and the doctor watched her skin suit crumple next to the extrapolator. The doctor looked to the others. Don't look, he ordered. Stay there. Close your eyes. He watched both of them do so, then closed the console. Now, Jack, come on, shut it all down. Shut down. He pointed to Jessie as Jack began moving around the console, flipping switches. Jessie, that panel over there. Turn all the switches to the right. She did, and the TARDIS stopped releasing the energy. The doctor nodded. Nicely done. Thank you all. What happened to Margaret? Jessie asked. Must have burned up, Jack suggested, carried out her own death sentence. No, the doctor denied, going over to the skin suit. I don't think she's dead. Then where'd she go? Jessie asked. She looked into the heart of the TARDIS, he replied. Even I don't know how strong that is. And the ship's telepathic, like I told you, Jessie. Gets inside your head, translate alien languages. Maybe the raw energy can translate all sorts of thoughts. He pushed the skin suit away and held up a large egg. Here she is. She's an egg, Jessie squeaked. Regress to her childhood, the doctor confirmed. She's an egg, Jack repeated. The doctor pushed back the urge to glare at the man. She can start again, live her life from scratch. If we take her home, give her to a different family, tell them to bring her up properly, she might be all right. Or she might be worse, Jack pointed out. The doctor paused. That's her choice. She's an egg, Jessie muttered. The doctor nodded. She's an egg, yes. Her eyes widened. Oh my God, Fitzsimmons. The doctor watched her run out of the TARDIS, and he and Jack watched her run up to a few of the paramedics. The doctor looked over towards the shadow of the buildings, and he saw Gemma standing there, staring at him. She gave him a sad smile and pointing to Jessie, then mouthed, Take care of her. The doctor smiled and gave a thumbs up and a nod. Jessie nodded and then turned and walked off towards the parking lot, where the doctor saw a black car with S.H.I.E.L.D.'s logo on the side was waiting. Fitz in the driver's seat. Jessie ran back, looking a little put out. We're all powered up, he told her. We can leave. Opening the rift filled us up with energy. We can go if that's all right. Yeah, fine, she replied. How's Fitzsimmons? Jack asked. They're all right. They've gone. Do you want to go and find them? The doctor asked, even though he knew they were gone. We'll wait. No need, she replied. They deserve better. The doctor eyed her warily, remembering how that boy, Rick Johnson, had used her all through her middle school and freshman year, putting things in her head that made her into who she was. If he hadn't been killed by Selene, he'd have gone to snap his neck already. Off we go, then, always moving on. Next stop, Raxacoricophalopatorus, Jack declared, then chuckled. Now you don't often get to say that. We'll just stop by, pop her in the hat tray, the doctor said, going to the console. Margaret the Slovene can live her life again. He looked up at Jessie. A second chance. She smiled. That'd be nice, she admitted. Yes, he thought as he began setting the coordinates for Raxacoricophalopatorus. I hate this planet name. Here's to second chances. Okay, so that was chapter 17 and 18. Alrighty. Peace out, Knights.